Hey everyone, I'm going to be showing you how to rip Halo Wars 2 models along with their animations and try to get them into Blender. And it might help with people wanting to do projects for modding or art, um, maybe even some, I don't know, tabletop stuff if you want to get your models posed and stuff for the Halo Wars. I think it's like a Warhammer tabletop game. Anyway, you'll need 3ds Max 2021. And you'll need a couple maxscripts scripts that SleepyZay has created. I will provide a link to those in the description. You'll also need a copy of Halo Wars 2. There is ways you can get the data out, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. So it's best to just kind of either wait till someone extracts it and get it out so you can start your modding projects. But there's also a way to get it out using UWP Dumper, and it's a program that extracts data from programs that are currently running. I don't know if I'll ever make a tutorial on that. I'm sure someone can make a tutorial on it. But let's get started with this first. So you will open up 3ds Max 2021. Wait for it to load. And 3ds Max is kind of volatile sometimes. It doesn't like anything to go wrong. And with maxscript, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And once it gets warmed up here, we'll start. So you go to scripting, run script. We'll go to where you store your scripts at, and I'll probably provide these in the description. I'll probably just put them in my Google Drive so people can access them. But SleepyZay made all of these. There's ones for Halo Wars 1 and 3ds Max 2021 is the version that I'm going to be using. There's also a version for 2017, I believe, and there's something that changed that this news needed for. There's also the animation ripping script, and then there's this script which Gravemind, who created a reclaimer, improved so that multiple objects can be imported into the same scene. So we're going to be using this one. Now there is a very big issue with Max and these scripts, which is they don't really work unless you start with a very specific model first. And I don't know exactly how I figured out this workaround and this fix for it. I call it the Grizzly01 Fix because it hasn't really let me down. But let's say you go to your directory for Halo Wars 2. Okay, you go to your objects, you go to units, you say you really want to get the Grizzly out, for example, or it's pretty much the exact for all of these. But Grizzly 1, let's say I want the body of the Grizzly or even the gun out. You'll probably get some form of error. And if not, it's a good sign. Oh, so it actually worked this time. Good. Sometimes it won't work. Sometimes you'll get an error that'll keep popping up. It'll say something about index being like -2 billion or something. Or there's no vertex mesh data or something. Something will go wrong, and that's okay. You can't really just rerun the script and see if it works again, honestly, because in a couple iterations later, your scripts won't work at all, even if they should. So every time you get an error in 3ds Max, I would just suggest you just close 3ds Max and restart it and start from the very beginning. So it looked like it pulled something out, so that's a good sign that that even worked. But the model that you want to do for the Grizzly fix is this one. So let's say you haven't been here yet. You'll open this up, go to your Halo Wars 2 data, units, UNSC, vehicles, and you'll want to go to your Grizzly01, and then you'll want to do this, mesh cannon L.UGX, and this is the one that, in my opinion, works the best. There's probably other models in the directories that will work just fine, but this is the one I found that works. So there we go. We got the cannon. And once we have the cannon and this loaded in, the script should just kind of work. So we will click this viewport down here, hit Alt-W, make it big. There we go. We will delete whatever the cannon came with. Now, for some models that don't have a lot of parts, for example, like the Grizzly obviously has a ton of parts, and we can do the Grizzly at some point. But for stuff like Infantry, for example, really they won't have a whole lot. There's like one singular model. There's not a whole lot to it. You just import it, and it just works, and then you find the animations for them. But then there's stuff where, like we're gonna do the Colossus. I think is what we're probably gonna do that together. Colossus can be found in DLC 3. I believe it is in Pack 1, Units, UNSC, Vehicles, Colossus 1, and here's all the parts for the Colossus. Okay, so we will start with one of the pieces, and you can see it's kind of thinking over here to the right, and here shortly it'll spit it onto the screen. And this can take some getting used to. I started doing this a few days ago, so I've had a little bit of time to get used to it. But here we have the legs, and you'll notice there's a lot of crap in there. Some of it doesn't look good. Some of it's like extra layers. And over here on the right, you'll see the mesh list. And now if you go through it, you'll know some of these just don't look right. There's obviously, lower level of detail stuff in there. And so there's usually the very first one listed, 9 times out of 10 is the best one. Everything else beyond that, you can just hold shift and click down, select it all, and delete it. And this will be what's left, is the better looking version of it. There's no LODs in there. And you'll see the main root, this is all rig stuff. So this is all just the bone structure and all these things that it's connecting to. So we got the legs in, so we're gonna do the left hand. Okay, there's the left hand, and there's LOD stuff, so we're gonna delete those. Okay, we're gonna run the script. We're gonna get the rifle muzzle. Why not? We might not even need that, but we're gonna do it anyway. It's best to just get all the pieces. We're going to get the upper body, which is going to take a little bit of time. Okay, any moment now. Okay, so now I believe we have everything but the railgun. Let's see here. Railgun base. Okay, so we got that in there now. We have all of these LODs. There we go. That looks a lot better. Let's get rid of that railgun stuff. And now what we're left with is the cleanest version we can get of this mech. And so really take notice too. I would 100% suggest saving this as it is, because you'll most likely mess up, and it's always good to have a part to go back to. So save them as separate files for these next few steps. And so now we have this model. We can go to File, Export as FBX. So let's say I want to go to my downloads. We have my Colossus sections here. These are all different stuff I've pulled out earlier. But let's say, I'll say test for now because I want to go over some settings here. So make sure you'll see your list here. Make sure you turn off turbo smooth. Make sure that smoothing groups, split per vertex normals, tangents and binormals, preserve instances, convert deforming dummies to bones, and preserve edge orientation. Make sure all of those are on. Go to animation. Make sure you click on resample all. Deformations, make sure your settings are like this. I don't think any curve filters are happening. But for advanced options, you'll want Z up if you're going into Blender, because Z is the up orientation. And I believe everything else is good. And you'll just hit OK, and it'll do its thing. And you'll have a error message that pops up, and this is fine. You don't have to worry about that. So let's say you have your fully assembled, model. It has a rig. It's got everything you want. But let's say you want to run your animation script now. Well, let's go out of the scarab. Let's go find I think it's in DLC3, yeah. Pack 1, animations, UNSC, vehicles, Colossus. These are all the Colossus animations. And so what we'll do is we will get the walk animation. Okay, and you will quickly see that it is very broken. It's trying to work, and all the parts are kind of shaking and moving as they would, but they're not connected to the right spots, right? And this is because the bones are not linked correctly. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to open these up here, and you will find, once you go down, you'll find granny root bones. Okay, and so you'll open all of these up, and they're different sublayers. And I found that usually the one with the most will have the good stuff that you need. And so you'll find these things called socket bones. You'll see some labeled socket bone. And what this is where this is saying I need to be linked to the bone, the upper body 0. So upper body 0 bone needs to be linked to me. So we're going to go find upper body 0. Okay, here's the granny bone for it. But we're going to click upper body 0. We're going to go up to the chains, the select and link. We're going to go to select by name. Okay, and we'll see usually at the bottom you'll see the socket bones, right? So we are selecting upper body 0, and we want to link upper body 0 to socket bone upper body 0. We will then link it. So now we see it appeared in here. And now we have this empty little granny root bone, and we can go ahead and delete that. Okay, next section, we will drop all these open. All right. Keep expanding those. Okay, now we will see that we have, let's say, socket bone upper body. I believe there's another socket bone in here somewhere. Socket bone hand left. Okay. So almost every single one of these separate models will have it. And if you can basically just find the granny root bone, the fastest way is just say, hey, anything underneath this instance, like let's say there's multiple, like let's say if this was granny root bone, all of these would need to be linked to that thing. But in this case, there's only one sub item in the granny root bone. So I'm going to click B rifle muzzle, make sure chain is on, go to socket bone rifle muzzle. Boop, and there it goes right there. We have another granny root bone. We have one sub item in there, and this is the rail gun. Or as they apparently misspelled, they said root the rail gin. So this is going to go into the socket rail gun. All right. So now these are all empty. We can delete these, make it cleaner looking. Where is it? Rifle muzzle. There it is. I believe all we have left is the left hand. So we have the B left hand. We will then link that to the socket bone for hand left. Okay, we have another empty granny bone now. Okay, so now we have our full entire bone structure for everything here. And they will all be connected now, or they should anyway. Okay, so you can drop down and make sure those are connected to the right spot. And if, I mean, honestly, the best way to see if you did it right is you just run the script. So you'll run the animation script. For a good one, you'll do walk, and then you'll hit play down here and see if it worked. And sure enough, we got it working. And we can go up here to the plus button and turn off grids. That way you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so we've done it correctly. We have all of the bones working correctly, and it's, you know, the animations are playing, and that's great. And so let's say we wanted to get this guy into Blender. We can go then to export. Okay, and we will do walk test as FBX. Make sure all of these settings are correct, like we did earlier in the video. Make sure animation, you have resample all on, bake animations on, deformations are on, and these Z up is your axis conversion. Okay, you'll hit OK. The warning thing will pop up. It's fine. All right. Now we will go to Blender. We will go to File, import the FBX that we just extracted. we find our walk text, and here it is. He's in here now. And you hit the spacebar button, and you can see the whole animation playing out. And oh, I have the animation set way too long. We could change it to like 74 or something. I think it's actually like 68 or something. I don't know. You can play around with that. Okay. So now you can click on the rig and press H to hide it. And you can even click the little clock symbol down here for the timeline and actually just change that to the dope sheet, and then click this drop down and go to the, I believe it is the action editor. There it is. And these are all the different little keyframes that you have. And you'll see there's some dead zone here. So you can say, hold on. Oh yeah. So what you can also do, let's say you want to do multiple animation files. So what I'm going to be doing here, making packs of this stuff. Let's say we want the stomping animation too. But I don't want to see that, you know. I don't want to see this whole sucker in there. So I'll hide him. I'll hide his bones. But I have my original walking one here, right? Well, what I want to do is I can click the rig. And now that I have two rigs with animations in there, I can actually click this drop down. And right now this guy's walking, but I can also change it to the stomping now. But obviously he is much smaller, the frame size. So hold on here. Timeline, I will extend this to 120. Looks like 135. Get the full effect. There we go. And then I can change that as well. Oh, 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 oh. Dope sheet. I'm playing this one now. So now he's walking. Now he's stomping. So all these are going in the background. And you can enable textures once you have textures applied. And I can go over that at some point. So far I have this one created for Sgt Johnson, where Johnson is. He's dying. I think he's getting killed by like a brute or something. Yeah, jump pack brute. But I have a full key set here where folks can just go in and select the animation they want to use here. Once the animation starts replaying, they can also shrink this size if they really want to. And they can kill their computer if they want by having like 10 Johnsons in here. But yeah, so that's how you get an animation from Halo Wars 2 into Blender. One other thing to note too is that a lot of animations, due to this animation script not being completely finished, some just break and some don't fully work. Some things just, you know, fall off. Some things aren't attached right, and certain things there's a lot of data that goes unread because it was never fully finished. So like, let's say I think the attack animation, for example, is a good example of this, where if you select the animation, you know, this whole model looks like it's doing something, right? But you'll notice actually if you turn on wireframe that the little cannon is now stuck in there. And what you can do to fix that is that you kind of find out where this is at. And what I've done before is, let's say here, upper body, twist, socket bone, hand left, piston, railgun, base. No, we want the rifle, the riffle. Oh boy. A muzzle for it, the socket bones. So you'll want to move the socket bones. Click up here. And that's not it. Maybe it's the muzzle. Let's see here. Oh no, here it is. This is the bone. There it is. So what you can do, hit F3 to turn back on wireframe, you can kind of just move it back into place. And this is obviously very, it's not ideal. You don't want to have to do this for every single animation. But it's kind of what I had to do in trying to get these things out correctly. Sometimes you'll see the rail guns like off to the side over here, and you gotta like really put it back into place. But now you'll see this thing is fully out now. It's doing its thing, and you won't have any problems. But as soon as you let's say you fixed that, and let's say you want to do a different one. Oh, it looks like this one actually does have it fixed. It's a bad example. Sometimes it'll reset its position. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, this one's also one of the good ones that actually still lives. Let's see. Drop. I think drop had issues. No, drop was good. A good example, I believe, is the Jerome Mantis. Jerome Mantis had some problems, like a lot of problems. So he looks good here. But if I go to run script, animation, and I gotta remember where the heck Jerome's Mantis actually lives. No. Okay, not in there. Might be DLC 5. No. No. Wow. Maybe it's DLC 1. No, it's not. DLC 2? There it is. Okay, so Jerome Mantis is in here. For some reason, there was a lot of them that where when he would do something, his rocket pads would just completely stop working. Let's see here. Which one was it? I believe idle, flail. I think flail was it. And another good thing to note too, there's different naming conventions too, right? So you'll see Mantis flail 1-0 body. There's flail 01 hand left, hand right, and then main. So main, like each of these is like just the body moving, and this is just the hand moving, and this is just the other hand moving. But this is all of those pieces together moving. So you'll want to always use the main unless you for some reason want to have like the body completely stiff and then another section just kind of moving around. So let's say I believe what's a good one? What's a good example here? We'll try flail. We'll try flail and see what happens here. Oh, here it is. Yes. So you'll see these rocket pads are not connected at all, and they're supposed to be vertically on his back, and then these are supposed to be holding it up. Kind of like, where's his walk? They're supposed to come attach right here. And this is when they're deployed. But I can show you where this is here. Packed, unpack. So this is when, oh boy, we got an error. That's going to die here soon. I have one script to run before 3ds Max stops working. Pack. Okay, so this is when they're out, but they're going to repack into their holding position. So you'll see here, there. So this is what they're supposed to look like when they're on his back. But as you saw in the previous one, it just doesn't. And so there's a lot of animations like that where the guns are, way up here, and the legs are over here, and the turrets are all switched around, and it's just you gotta manually like find out this is the rocket, sure, but as soon as you move it, right? As soon as you move it over here and you start playing, it's gonna snap to the bones anyway. So you can't just move the model. You have to physically find out where on the model the bones are. So I can say like These are the legs. I don't want the legs. I want the body, rocket arms, base left. Okay, I can move this out now, and then I can hit play, and then now it's at that offset. So if you find things that are off there, you can bring them back into position and then have the animation play. Anyway, this is just a sloppy overview of kind of how to get it done, because I haven't seen anyone really go over this stuff anywhere, and I know this information is kind of hard to get and learn, especially with not a lot of people teaching it. But definitely feel free to reach out if you have questions about it. This is super finicky stuff, and then there's bound to be issues at every turn. Sometimes I'll go to load a model and it just doesn't work at all, and I don't really know why until I try half an hour later and it works just fine. So it's just never expect it to kind of just go well. You just kind of have to fight it until you get it. So I really hope this has been helpful. Be sure to reach out to me at the Halo Archive, which is on Discord, or message me on YouTube, and I'll probably get back to you. So, bye.